What's up guys, I'm Taylor with TK Disc Golf and welcome back to the channel. In today's review video we are taking a look at the Total Eclipse Vanish, an exclusive to this year's 2024 Gyropalooza boxes, which are available officially on December 11th at your favorite local retailer. The Vanish has the official flight numbers 11 speed, 5 glide, -3 turn with 2 fade, but I have a feeling these Eclipse versions are going to be flying a little bit more overstable than that. So without further ado, let's take it to the field and see how it flies. For those of you that might not be familiar with MVP's Eclipse plastic, this is their glow plastic and it is the brightest and longest lasting on the market compared to all different brands, and it's not even close. I have tested it many years in a row and it has come out on top every single time. This version that I got is a green core with a white rim, looks super cool, nice and bright, and the advantage of having the brightest glow means it pops super well on our glow videos that we have done in the past. Shameless plug, be sure to go check those out because they look super cool. I'll have a link at the end of the video if you want to check out one of our glow content videos. But moving on to the field, we were dealing with some weird weather today simply because it was cold and windy. The wind was like 12 to 15 miles an hour pretty consistently, and it was coming over my right shoulder. Yes, it was a tailwind, but it had that slight right to left push, which was causing the disc to stable up at the end of its flight. So really, yes, the Eclipse Vanish is flying a little bit more stable. I could tell that even with the wind, but the wind was over exaggerating its fade a little bit at the end of it, I think. But overall, I would call the flight numbers so far a -1.5 with a 2 fade, so that is a usable slot, but it's definitely not a -3 so far. On a hyzer release, this Vanish was able to hold it very well, slight pop-up, very forward pushing hyzer glidey angle, and then it would have a nice gradual fade at the end, nothing super overstable. It is still very much a neutral flyer, nice slightly stable distance. I was getting maybe 320, 330 on the hyzer releases. Now from a flat or slight hyzer to flip up, it was going super straight. This is where the disc I think is going to fly nicely for me if I were to bag this for a glow round or put it in my trunk of my car. I was getting these out about probably the 330, 340 mark or so. But for the max distance potential, what you're wanting to do is throw this thing flat or force it over a little bit. This is where you're going to see the most turn out of it, and that's why I say it does have like a -1.5 turn for me, because when I was throwing it hard flat or throwing a little bit of force over, it'll turn for sure, but once it starts to lose some of its speed, it wants to flatten out and then get that 2 fade to hook up nicely, getting it back to center. So overall resulting in a very straight flight. Max distance, I was saying I'm probably getting like 370 out of this Eclipse Vanish. Now, unfortunately for me, Gauley Park does not have a lot of holes that a Vanish is good for. It's a distance driver, and most of the holes at Gauley are under 300 feet, so I wasn't able to get too many good examples of how I would use this disc on the course. But for the few shots I did get, a headwind is definitely going to turn this disc over. So into a headwind, you're going to have to give it a ton of hyzer, pretty much as you possibly can to get it to fly straight. If you don't give it enough, it is going to turn a lot before it might get that late hookup for you. But overall, you're going to have to be very careful into a headwind with this Vanish still. As far as the types of holes I would want to use this disc on, definitely in the woods. If there's a narrow tunnel shot where I need to keep it on a neutral path, I'm going to trust in the woods that there's not going to be too much wind, but if you throw it flat, it's going to hold that line very nicely when you control the power. Or if you need to get a slight early turn and then have a very late gradual hookup, that's going to be an amazing shot for this disc as well. Hitting gaps off the tee is going to be super good, where you can trust that you can hit that gap. It's not going to turn too early, not going to hyzer too early. It's just a very straight on a rope type distance driver that you're not going to get too much past the 350 foot mark, at least for my arm speed. So my final thoughts on the Total Eclipse Vanish is I definitely think it's a little more stable than a typical Neutron Vanish. Obviously the printed flight numbers of a Neutron Vanish are 11, 5, -3 with 2 fade. Like I said, I think this is more realistically a -1.5 turn with a 2 fade. So still a very usable fight, but it's not as understable as a typical Vanish would be. I've heard a lot of comments saying that the post-COVID era of MVP, of Axiom Vanishes, have been on the more stable side. They're not as flippy as they used to be. I've got some patent pending ones that I'm used to, and those things were so unstable that like you could just hyzer flip the crap out of them and they're going to go right forever even on a hard hyzer. So that was kind of my impressions of a Vanish going into this review video, so I was surprised of how stable this thing is. If I had to compare it to something, I'd say it's like a very beat up Photon, so you're going to get that initial turn like a beat up Photon would get, but it still has that predictable late fade to keep you on a straight line. As I mentioned earlier, if you're looking to pick up one of these Eclipse Vanishes, be sure to pick up a Gyropalooza Gyropalooza box from your favorite retailer. These are officially releasing on December 11th, and they will probably sell out quick, so you're going to want to grab one. I want to thank you for watching this review video. Please subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our future updates, and we will see you on the next one.